We're given two graphs here, and for both of these, we want to draw the square root of that same graph on the same grid that's provided. So what we're going to do is we're going to think back to all these things that we highlighted here. We're going to look, when is it 0 and when is it 1, because those are our invariant points where things don't change. We're going to look at what happens between 0 and 1, that our graph is going to be slightly above. And we're going to look at what happens after 1, where our graph is going to be below. And we're going to remind ourselves that we can't take the square root of a negative. So if we go back to here to example 1, the first thing we're going to look at is where is our graph equal to 0? That's right there. Where is our graph, the y values, equal to 1? That's right there. Between 0 and 1, your square root graph is going to be slightly above. And after 1, in other words, after your y values are equal to 1, then your square root graph is going to be below. And sometimes it's nice to see, are there nice values you can take square roots of? Like, I know the square root of 4 is 2. So I can put that point on there. I know the square root of 9, thank you. The square root of 9 is 3. Well, 9 is right there, so I can put that point in right there. And we get our square root graph like this. So between 0 and 1, it was slightly above. After 1, it's below. Okay? So here's our graph. Now, if you over-exaggerate things, then you could lose a half a mark. We still want our curve to be smooth through there. So I'm going to show you an over-exaggeration. An over-exaggeration that would cause a half a mark. Here I've got 0 and I got 1. I want it to be above. Wow. That's going to lose you some marks. Yes, it's above. It's bad because it goes back in time. So do you see how this is like going back in time and coming this way? That's going to be bad. So even if this one was like this, that would lose you a half a mark. It just needs to be slightly above. Another thing about slightly above is it's still going to be a decimal, so you can't have it go slightly above but go past 1. That's going to be bad as well. Slightly above means just a tiny bit above, especially between 0 and 1. Okay? You also don't want your curve to be like bouncy like this. I'll exaggerate what I mean by bouncy. You don't want it to go bonk, bonk. Okay? It should be a smooth curve through it. So what you can do is you can have 0 and 1, and maybe you have some other points that you figured out like we did before. And then you just want to connect them with a smooth curve, having this one slightly above, and then those ones below will naturally occur. And even though that's just a tiny bit above, that would be fine. So in our second example, where's our original function 0? Right there. Where's our original function 1? Right there. Are there any other values that you can do in your head? Well, not exactly. Maybe you know the square root of 3 is 1.7. I'm not sure. It's going to be slightly less than 2. So when we draw this one, slightly above, and then below. Arrowhead would only be on one side of your graph. And that's how you would graph a function. Now these ones are easy ones because they're straight lines. So question number 5 for practice here.